in just over 13 months. To Kate Cornick and your team, you've been here for far less time, but certainly contributed significantly already. And so we're very grateful that you've chosen to re-enter, I guess, public life to a certain extent and leave the private sector and bring that expertise as well. But today is not just about us, it's actually about all of you. And so with round two, we've seen some reports already by members of our Fourth Estate. What a wonderful article too, David Swan. Just want to praise you and the Australian for accurately reporting an article finally. That's more for your political colleagues, not yourself, David, by the way. To other members of the press here, of course, all of my comments today are absolutely on the record. That will put the fear of God in my staff because they don't know what I'm about to say. But I can assure you that first and foremost, I want to talk about the grant recipient winners that we're announcing today, and Kate will take you through them name by name. $4.9 million for round two gets us to just under $12 million across the first two rounds. 18 grant recipient winners in round one. As I said, there'll be 7 in round two. And we continue to want to do what LaunchVic's mandate was, expand the ecosystem. This isn't about us trying to replicate the VC market. This isn't about us wanting to be a funder of direct businesses. This is about us wanting to actually grow the pie. And the best way that we can do that is by investing in projects that support incubators, accelerators and co-working, co-location spaces. And we have seen these areas flourish right around the world. And so what we decided to do was that we would want to provide choice. We want to provide competition within this space for founders, for entrepreneurs, for small business people, because we understand that if they also have opportunities to participate with the best and brightest programs, both locally and from overseas, then we give them the best opportunities of success. Now, I've always said that our job, and my job in particular, is not to actually keep somebody in Victoria. My job is to help provide them the infrastructure in Victoria that they need to be successful and see their dream become a reality. I don't shy away from that. And so the extension of that through my trade office network overseas is to help them go overseas when they need to as well. I don't want to be parochial about keeping somebody in Victoria. They may need to go to San Francisco, as long as they're not from one of the 7 countries listed by President Trump. They may need to go to London. They may need to go to Berlin. And we need to be there to help them to achieve that. So we will continue to do that because at some stage, they will come home. At some stage, they will want to come home. And for them to be able to do so, they need to have something to come home to. That's where all of you come into play. And so without all of you, we wouldn't be able to create a really vibrant, inclusive, diverse ecosystem that really puts Melbourne and Victoria on the map because of who we want to be, of who we are and what we stand for. The diversity play that the Victorian government has very strongly articulated is not just words. You can see through everything that we've done through LaunchVic or others that the actions, the walk matches the talk. LaunchVic, now headed by one of the most amazing women within the sector, in Dr. Kate Cornick. LaunchVic with more women than men on the board, not a tokenistic approach to challenging the status quo in boardrooms around the country. Every person on that board deserves and is worthy of their place. And the will is there, and you can do it. And we want to do it, and we will continue to do it. We will lead by example. And so I want, before I pass on to Kate, I want to focus my remarks very clearly in relation to what's happening in America right now. Very clearly. It is extremely troubling that the leader, the unappointed leader of the free world, the United States, which every Western democracy has always aspired to be like, has decided to pursue a policy that is so exclusive, so divisive, so contrary to the rule of democracy, the rule of law, the rule of freedom of association, the freedom of religion. When you see that not just overnight, the president's spokesperson attacked people for wanting to simply point out that Jews were exterminated as part of the Holocaust in their denial of what is an appropriate fact on Holocaust Remembrance Day. That 48 hours earlier, the 7 countries that President Trump decided to articulate that if you came there as a refugee to this country, which includes Senator Sam Dastyari in the Australian Parliament, who came here to Australia as an Iranian refugee with his parents, cannot travel to America right now. This is extraordinarily troubling. This is the antithesis of who we want to be in Victoria, of who in fact we are in Victoria. And I will use every opportunity that I have in my public speaking engagements or otherwise to champion what is right. Not because it's easy, not because we have to, but because it is right. Sometimes in life, there is black and white. Sometimes in life, you must stand up and be accounted for your thoughts, your words and your deeds. Today is one of those times. To discriminate against people, not because of the threat that they pose, but because of where they come from or what religion they associate with, is not right. And in Melbourne and Victoria, the ecosystem that we're developing, the inclusiveness that we're talking about, the diversity that we embrace, goes to the very heart of what LaunchVic is about. And I, as Minister, unashamedly will continue to use LaunchVic and continue to support programs and policies that demonstrate that diversity is not something that you can negotiate on. Inclusiveness is not something you can just hope for. That we have to work for this, because if we don't, if we stop believing and articulating, championing these types of ideals, what happened in America will happen here. And I absolutely call upon our own Prime Minister to show some leadership in this space, to stand up to President Trump and his new administration and say that this is not right. Friends do not give friends a free pass when they undertake a course of action that is not only troubling but goes against the grain of democracy which we as members of Parliament are entrusted to maintain for generations to come. So I want to thank you all for coming here today. I want to thank those people that put their hands up to be a part of LaunchVic Round 2 that were unsuccessful, to say that this is not the end for you, that there are other rounds to come. It's only about $11.5–12 million out of $60 million. There's a lot more grants to come. And for those that are successful, be mindful of our roles to play in society, not just within public life, but within the private sector and within the tech sector, and diversity play as well. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think I want to introduce Kate Cornick to actually take you through the successful recipients. But more importantly, as you leave today, know that there's something far more important at stake, and that is the generation to come after us that will be able to enjoy the freedoms that we enjoy now. And if we don't stand up for that, then we need to question what we're doing ourselves. Thank you very much.